4 years before they were remote viewing with the CIA to find the Ark, they had this going on. So, and this is interesting because I told you about number 32 remote viewer. This is number 1 remote viewer. Method of site acquisition, it says. Sealed envelope coupled with geographic coordinates. The sealed envelope was given to the subject immediately prior to the interview. The envelope was not opened until after the interview. In the envelope was a 3x5 card with the following information. The planet Mars. The time of interest, approximately 1 million years BC. Selected geographic coordinates provided by the parties requesting the information were verbally given to the subject during the interview. What's below this? Is it just like observations from them or?
Transcript.
Okay, so it's a transcript, right? But basically, we don't have to read the whole thing. Basically, they had this guy, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but it's like Mick Mon Eagle.
Where do you even see that?
Probably, I'm remembering it. I don't know if it's on this part yet. I could be butchering his name, but they had this guy remote view Mars from a million years BC, and he's telling them before, because like I said, he didn't know till halfway through that he's even looking at Mars, right? And he's giving them all these descriptions of like this barren wasteland, this pyramid structure. At one point, he says he sees thin, tall species. With anyone who's into like the grays, you know, and the aliens, that sounds like that. But I also feel like this is probably a lot like what we were just talking about with the Ark, right? Like it's just bogus.
This is absolutely ludicrous.
Right.
It's so ludicrous. There's nothing to compare it to.
Why do you think? Is it just to kind of scare the Soviets, or is there something? Is there something deeper here?
Was this Soviet era?
This is 84, I think it was.
Okay,
So
all
the Cold
right.
War's still going on. It's towards the end.
I guess so. Maybe that was a motivating factor, but just the idea that you would be able to remote view Mars is so ridiculous.
Right. Because it's fake.
It's fake.
There's no Mars.
There is no Mars.
I don't know where Elon's going.
There is no million years.
Yep.
If there's anything, forgive me, and please cut this out if you have to.
No, we just lost a few viewers. They hate when I say the space is
Remember,
They
fake.
don't like it. They
I
don't
can
care for it?
unplug you real quick.
No.
Okay,
This
all
is
right,
the
please
important stuff,
do.
though, Alex.
If there's anything faker and gayer than talking about remote viewing Mars, it's talking about living for billions or millions of years.
Right, sounds like something
that is
transhumanists want.
ridiculous.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely on its face, absurd.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
No.
Everything's fake. You know this country was founded before anyone even knew about dinosaurs? Like there's no dinosaur
Oh yeah,
bones.
it was in the mid 1800s.
Like just after George Washington was around, was when they found their first
dinosaurs.
alleged dinosaur bones.
There's gators,
Dragon
and,
bones, maybe.
and dragons.
Where are you with dragons?
There's
I think
gators
maybe.
and dragons.
Gators
Sure.
and dragons.
That's right.
That's the most Kentucky thing you've ever said. Gators and dragons, people. That was the name of your mascots, actually.
That's
in high school.
about it. Yeah,
Fake
no,
guy.
this is absolutely ridiculous. This idea of remote viewing
And
Mars.
there's a list you can look up from this guy, the #1 remote viewer, and that's just he's not the #1 champion. He's like the first guy they probably drugged, you know, with a bunch of their acid that they had Eli Lilly make for MK Ultra. Like just give that guy lots of drugs.
Hey, look, man, we've been through so many psyops, and like psyop is like so widespread now. There is no bigger psyop that has captured more brains than evolution.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That it is absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense. Me too, sure, of course. Because you're so bullied into believing this, you're stuck in a corner. It's just like, it makes no sense. There is no evidence. There is no basis for evolution. I see this over the weekend. There was a renewed discourse about this on Twitter with all the evolutionary bio, Colin Wright.
Oh, is that why they were talking about?
Yes.
I saw Bryson Gray talking. I was like, yeah.
Yes, I mean, because there was this new AI video that got generated where it's like an ape that walks into being a human, and it's just like,
give me a break.
These people, they have lost their minds, and maybe they never had them.
Right.
Like
No,
the evolution stuff is so stupid.
Yeah, and what did Darwin's family also give us?
Eugenics.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? They talk about the Nazis having eugenics stuff.
Yeah.
But at that time, everybody was talking about eugenics.
Over here, we loved eugenics.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a
widespread goofball idea that gained a lot of traction across lots of countries and lots of cultures.
Yep. Just south of where I grew up. I might have just said this on a recent show here. I think with Paranoid American. Just south of me in Cold Spring Harbor, there was a whole eugenics factory. I think it dates back to like the 20s or 30s. It was no joke. So yeah, I don't buy into any of this stuff. I think they've just been trying to divorce everyone from the beauty of God and the power of God.
Yes,
and they want to control. They want to control your perception of everything and make you feel very small. Yeah. And that the government is your only protector, right? And that is so bogus.
It's a three punch strategy. It was Marx, Darwin, Freud. That was the three punches that really knocked out
your physical reality and your spiritual reality and your perception.
That's exactly right.
And it just slaughtered all that, and we're in it today.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are starting to be like,
a lot of people are out of it, but a lot of people are still stuck in it.
Yeah, because we're having a bit of an existential renaissance.
Yes.
You know, and I love that. So that's how I feel with the Mars stuff. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that these are all becoming like conversations again now. And I'm always like, why? Like, what are they preparing us for?
Yeah.
Right? Because the Mars thing, although I think that's been out longer, I'm sure it is. But it's like we got Elon talking about Mars now. You know, and now we have this remote viewing.
Obsessed with Mars, which is so bizarre to me. I don't understand that.
They're anti-Earth.
I don't like. I remember like years ago there was like some big space launch that was about to happen. It was on every. I did everything that I could to not watch that. I don't understand the space stuff. I don't understand the rocket stuff. Like I don't get it. I find it so uninteresting. And so boring. Like there's so much to deal with here.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm noticing that there's big accounts on Twitter that are basically getting paid to be they're right leaning accounts, but they're climate alarmists now. But in terms of the Earth being destroyed, and so it's becoming pro-Mars propaganda, like Mario Narwhal, whatever his name is. I never remember his
Mario
name.
Narwhal, Nawfal,
whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He's like one of those accounts.
The dolphin.
Yeah,
the fake unicorn dolphin thing.
Oh jeez, don't get me started on dolphins. And
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Do we have a caller?
We do, but you know what? Chris Carr's mother actually sent us a great
sweet
link here. Everywhere. It's wait, are we here? Hold on. Here we
go.
Okay, this is the Leonard. Yep, the tinfoil hat stuff.
Article after article.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the video that I saw. She's got it.
Interfaces and doctors using electrodes and implants to control patients' brains. And at times, these brain surgeries have been met with disastrous results, which brings us to the story of Leonard Kyle.
Oh.
Okay, this is that guy you were saying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if there's like a good.
Well, it jumps to part 2 at a certain point, but you know, it's
all the way back in the 19
lengthier video.
Yeah, this is good. This is a good rabbit hole for people to go down.
Area of a patient's brain.
This is basically where I drew all of my information from. So whether I was wrong or right, where it came from, I'm pretty sure.
Press of a button. Delgado famously demonstrated just how powerful his technology was by hooking up electrodes to a bull's brain.
Whoa.
Yeah,
he then
mind
stood
control.
in the path of the charging bull and stopped it dead in its tracks with a jolt of electricity from a remote control device.
Oh, man.
There is so much more on Dr. Delgado's experiments. And
you got to read his book.
Check it out for yourself, folks.
Yeah.
Well, this does connect with Neuralink. You know, the animal experiments are tragic. That have been reported on Elon's side. Yeah. I think he calls it Monkey Disneyland. I'm pretty sure that's what they call it.
That's
and
crazy.
There's been a ton of really bad things that have happened. I feel like brains exploding or like the implant exploding out of the brain, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not into it.
We do have a caller, but he's not here right now.
Okay. So then while we wait for him, Chris, the whole reason we initially were like talking about you coming on the show is talking about movies. Yeah. And your idea of like the red pill narrative in a movie, is that right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so when you think about a red pill movie, you think about The Matrix, which like literalized that idea of the red pill that's kind of become like a cultural phenomenon now. So that's a very literal version of you get red pill, you go into one world. But I think that there's also kind of like a subgenre that you could build of red pill coded movies. Okay. In the sense that, you know, it's not a movie that's necessarily made to red pill you, but it does. Right. Because of the story that it tells. I think the penultimate example of this is like a movie like Chinatown. Have you seen Chinatown?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
He's got the whole, his nose is broken the whole time.
Yeah, and like, I say that's probably like a prime example because that movie is, it helps you understand that no matter how bad you think it is, it's so much worse. Right. Because it's a movie that moves from, okay, there's adultery to there is widespread corruption and crime.
Like a deep state.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, it's just like, okay, so the people that are perpetuating and driving this corruption and crime in their family there is incest and rape.
Right.
You know,
so dark.
So like that's like the ultimate dark red pill movie. And I think there's a lot of movies that fit in that category. I mean, briefly, like there's The Insider, which I was talking about,
Right.
like from 1999. Al Pacino is just like, you know, there was a whistleblower that was going against big tobacco, and he just went to CNN to sell the story, and like he was getting death threats for blowing the whistle on big tobacco, and the CNN guy, you know, put his life on the line to report on his story, and then the story ended up getting killed, and the CNN guy ended up getting screwed. Like he didn't have a story, and like the guy that put his life on the line didn't get his story told.
Is it based on a real story?
It is based on a true story. Jeffrey Wigand.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a true story. Yeah, Insider's based on a true story.
What was the whistleblowing? Do you remember? Like, what were they saying?
That cigarettes, because I think at a certain point they talk in the movie that like there was like the seven dwarfs, like the seven big CEOs from the big tobacco companies go and they swear that, you know, our cigarettes are not addictive, is what they say.
Right.
But of course, they were adding in things to make them extremely addictive.
Yep.
And it's not just tobacco. It was all about the additives, and it was all about the addiction.
Yep.
And this whistleblower was saying that that's what was going on, and that was something that could not be allowed to be heard.
Man, that's like an Upton Sinclair like jungle.
Expose.
I
would say that it's beyond that.
Right, because
like,
this is actually the jungle is people falling into the vats, and they're just being like,
Upton Sinclair's left-wing narrative has been called into question.
It's true.
And I'm not necessarily sure how much I buy into that.
Are we having Upton Sinclair revisionism?
I think it's time for that.
He was a hero throughout journalism school, you know.
Well, you see that's your red flag right there.
As I said it, I'm like, oh yeah, ding. Yeah. Why was he a hero in those death camps?
Without getting into like all the details and you know bogging us down on that, I mean like a movie like Bigger Than Life from I think 1957. It talks about, I mean, it's a red pill on suburbia and the mania that's like under lurking suburban life. You got Candyman from 1992, the original.
Great movie.
Like, did you see it?
Candyman?
Yeah.
The horror movie?
The original one.
Oh, yeah.
Terrifying.
We talked about
from the 80s, right?
Yeah. 92. 92,
okay, yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah. That's a scary movie.
Yes, it is.
Because I remember being a kid, and we had a WPIX. So we had a TV at some point, and it was only 2, 4,
just for
5,
movie.
7, 9, and 11. And 11 was WPIX.
Uh-huh.
And like there was nothing on that my parents let me watch, but I would sneak in to either watch Howard Stern late at night.
Right.
Definitely shouldn't watch that, or WPIX movies, which was always, it felt like they only played Terminator, Alien, and Candyman.
That's a good channel. I mean, look at
it was
that.
Awesome.
That's really dope.
Yeah, it definitely affected me.
It does.
Oh, I refuse to watch that movie again.
Yeah, you watched it
terrifying.
once and you wouldn't do it again.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It's my second favorite horror movie of all time. Because this is a red pill movie because it really helps you understand the greasy, light-bearing nefariousness of evil. Like the things that Candyman says to this woman who is totally clueless about there being a spiritual dimension or a thing of evil. You watch this movie and you get the sense of, wow, there is something that is so evil that it can like lure you into its presence and not let you go. You don't even have to consent to it. You can just be clueless. You can just not know that something like this is out there, and you can be drifted into this world of pure evil.
Yeah. I remember when we got that TV, it was a giant Magnavox, and we had the VCR, right? And so we always used to go to Village Video, which is a little video spot in town. My dad was obsessed with like those movies. So I'm a little kid walking around the video aisle of the horror. It's like Hellraiser's video, like Pinhead.
Sure.
It really stuck out as like terrifying. Krueger,
of course,
all those things. Oh man, I'm like, why was I even allowed to be around it? Like I wouldn't let my kids around that right now at this age.
way.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I think it infects you. Would you say Network? The Network is a red pill movie?
It is a red pill movie, but I would say that some of Paddy Chayefsky's other movies are even more red pills.
Like
because before Paddy Chayefsky is not like your average screenwriter. Like he was the author of the movie, and they just had like directors come in and make it happen.
Yeah.
Before Network was a movie called The Hospital with George C. Scott.
Okay.
So my overall thesis with Paddy Chayefsky is that he had almost prophetic, and he was a Jew, so he had like almost like old school Old Testament Jewish insights into the problems that we were going to be facing.
Right.
Medicine, media, and mankind. Medicine, he tackled the hospital.
Okay.
And he broke down exactly the problems with the medical industrial complex.
Interesting.
Like at the opening of the hospital, there's a patient that's wheeled into the hospital and is basically murdered because they were in the emergency room, like systematically murdered.
Yep.
And the doctor shows up and he was just like, "Where did you nurses learn your medicine? In Dachau?" Like,
wow.
So medicine, media, network, obviously.
Yep.
Like he was totally at the forefront of that. Pauline Kael was totally clueless when she gave that movie a pan.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, that's the movie where like you've probably seen the memes based on like I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore. And
Right.
The network allows their anchor, who's losing his mind. Would you say he's like losing it? But he seems sane to me.
More lucid. More and more lucid.
They think he's crazy, but they're like using him for ratings,
Yes.
right? But the deeper he goes down his rabbit hole and the more they allow him to say, he's actually beginning to subvert their entire system.
Right.
And one of the greatest scenes ever is Ned Beatty's character when he brings Howard Beale,
Howard Beale,
into the like this giant conference room.
You are meddling with the forces of nature, Mr. Beale.
Dude, I love that movie. I used to teach that scene. I love that scene.
I became obsessed with Network in high schoel. I printed out to the extent that I printed out the screenplay and indexed every scene because
I highly recommend everyone watch
that movie. It just as a text alone, like it is.
The dialogue is crazy.
It lives.
Yep,
you know?
it's exactly what we're going through now.
Yes,
in terms of media. So you're right.
So that's
about him
media.
Seeing that, yeah, and was
and then Mankind. The last movie that Patty Chayefsky wrote was a movie called Altered States.
I didn't see that either.
It was Bill Hurt's first movie, William Hurt's first movie. Ken Russell directed it in a way that Patty Chayefsky got outraged over, so he kind of like denied, he kind of like reclaimed, he's just like, whatever. Like he didn't consider this one of his movies, although the script there, it is about a guy that is so deep into the science world that he is doing like deprivation. What do you do when you get let like
deprivation tanks?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's getting deprivation tank and he's like having these hallucinations. At a certain point in this movie, he's so deep into the science of things that he de-evolves into an ape. And he becomes like this savage psycho that's like a murderous ape.
Wow.
And the whole movie kind of ends in this soup of like just like sinking into the earth of the cosmos.
Wow.
So Patty Chayefsky, he understood the problem with medicine, the problem with media, and the problem with mankind at a very like heightened level.
Okay, so then zoom back out to the idea of the Red Pill movie. Are these purposely being made to help people, you think, by some, or are they used by like predictive programming purposes?
No, I don't think it's predictive. I mean, you could pick your case, but I think that the best Red Pill movies are just people telling good fucking stories.
Yeah, it's rare now.
It is, and that's the thing. Is that's why these movies have a shelf life. Is because they're just trying to tell real stories. Like you think about Polanski and Chinatown, Robert Towne telling China. It's just like they're trying to tell a story that's going to rock you to your root and shake your teeth.
Great
movie.
That's a Red Pill movie, right?
Yeah.
You're learning about
I'd
the
call that a
super
Red Pill movie.
deeply spiritual deep state.
Yeah, and the whole filmography of Stanley Kubrick. I was thinking like, Eyes Wide Shut and
Clockwork
Doctor
Orange.
Strangelove. All of them. I mean, like
every single one.
Everyone. Yeah.
Someone mentioned
Red Pill
Midsommar.
movie.
And someone also
Midsommar.
mentioned Wizard of Oz.
That was literally just about.
That's really
Wizard
good.
of Oz?
That's
Thank
really
you.
good.
Wizard of Oz is. I would consider that a Red Pill
They
movie.
said Wizard of Oz is pretty esoteric about momentary supply and drugging populations falling asleep in poppy fields.
The poppy fields. Yep. And a man behind the curtain. That's another type of deep state to a degree. Like I think there's something about that movie where you fall into the trance world. Like maybe you're in the actual real world or realizing that there's another dimension to this world. Because you're left in the end of that movie being like, well, it wasn't totally fake, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Or you can say it was a dream, Well, I think it was real.
Yeah, it's kind of a dream movie, but I would say that if you had to pick one red pill coated movie over another, I would say that Return to Oz is a more red pill movie than
that one's really
dark.
Oz.
It's so dark.
Yeah,
but it's great.
Yeah. It's because it really deals. Return to Oz really deals with the danger of being a kid in a situation where you are being reprogrammed.
Right.
like,
Which
as
we
a
should
kid.
have Fuja
Yeah.
Bulk. I've tried getting her on the show.
Fruza Balk.
Fuja Bulk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've reached out to her on Instagram.
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
She's the main character in
Fruza
Return to
Balk.
Oz.
She was in The Craft
The
and
Craft.
American History X.
I know both those movies.
She's very into like
She's the chick in
witchcraft.
that. Yeah.
Oh wait, she's like the black-haired witch.
Yes.
in
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Craft?
Yeah.
Oh, that's her name.
Yes.
Fruza Balk. I know.
Of course, that's her name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and she in real life she is really into like witchcraft and stuff.
Interesting.
I've reached out to her. She hasn't got back. Maybe you should reach out to her. She's
Interesting.
bigger
Yeah.
I'll
following,
try.
but
I'll try.
She'd
Yeah.
be really cool to have on, especially talk about Return to Oz. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. All right.
Oh my God. Yeah.
How much longer did that come out after the original one?
85.
85. Okay,
So the
big
original was
deal.
39. Return to Oz was 85.
The Wizard of Oz, I feel like they did a lot of weird trauma in the making of that movie.
Yeah.
That
Well, Judy Garland for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like
and even the Tin Man. Like they were sprayed him with poisonous
oh, that's right.
silver
That's right.
spray paint. Yeah.
And they made her. She was so young. I want to say 15 or so.
Something
but
like
they
that,
wanted her
yeah.
to look 11, so they wrapped her in a corset. They made her smoke like a ton of cigarettes a day
wow.
because
I
they're
didn't
giving
know
her
that.
diet pills, and they thought the cigarettes would also help. And then her life just went to hell after that. Even though she had success, like there's a lot of really horrible stories about what they did to her.
She was an early example of childhood abuse in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's almost like you're punished for showing that kind of a narrative, you know. Like maybe that's how you go through life, you know, because like I feel like we've been punished to certain degrees, not like that, but like certain degrees when you're like ostracized from society, from your old friends, you know. In the last 5 years, especially, a lot of us went through that where we saw another world completely. We saw the actual dimension that we should be seeing, and other people refuse to see that dimension, and then we're exiled from that world.
Yeah,
happily so.
That's right.
So we weren't like maybe some of us were actually punished, you know, like violently, clearly, but
I had a phone call recent with Pete Quinones. I was talking to him about like some stuff that's going on, and like one of the first things I said was just like thank you, because he has kind of a revisionist history podcast, and I was just like thank you so much for helping re-educate me, because like I've got a pretty awful public education in school, and he was just like, you know, it's not fun. Like he was just like, when you tell the truth, like you get into a lot of trouble, and it's tough. And I was just like, oh, thank you. He was just like, yeah, thanks, but you know, it's kind of a problem. Yeah, you know, and that's true.
Especially as a parent.
Yes.
Like how much do you let them know everything's fake?
I know.
Because like you ostracize them early on. That's why I think it's important who you surround yourselves with and the friends they have. Because I'm like, my kids know about fake clouds. Like that's verifiable, you know. And like they're telling people at parties about fake clouds, and we were at some dinner party like a year ago, and our son was like, they serve salmon.
Oh no!
And
you gave us the salmon speech,
and we didn't tell him like don't bring up the salmon thing. Like that's a home thing. But like
that's a home thing.
You know, like,
have to like this.
For those who don't know, salmon's part bug now. You know, for like since the 90s, because they bioengineered salmon from like decades ago, and the FDA allowed them to be fed to the people, and then all the salmon farms that are bioengineered salmon farms out west, they keep breaking loose from their farms. So they've been mating with the general population for decades now. And you can't stop it. And if you've noticed, the color of salmon has changed over the years. And it's like, it could be dyes, but it's also, I think, because they're part bug. So we don't eat salmon anymore. But like you could make the case for almost everything out there right now is bad for you. But they brought out salmon. He's like, oh, we don't eat salmon. That's bug.